They all suck. Just kidding, don't leave. So 2022 is going to be, for me, the year of the Dark Tower. The Dark Tower is my favorite book series of all time. That being said, I read these when I was 21. This month I turned 38. So that means I haven't read these books in 17 years. So, which means it's far overdue for a reread. So in 2022, I'm going to reread the entire Dark Tower series, one book a month for the first 8 months of the year. Maybe. That's the plan. If for some reason it gets shifted around or pushed back, I'm not going to lock it in place so strictly that it becomes stressful, because I don't want my favorite book series of all time, the reread, to be tainted by the fact that I stressed out over a YouTube schedule. I won't allow that to happen in my favorite series. So, although I don't think it'll be hard to read a book a month, if I get trapped in something else, because I do want to read some other really, really exciting stuff on that bookshelf back there in 2022 as well. Anyway, before I do the reread, I want to do a ranking of all 8 books pre-reread, and then I'll go back and I'll make another video after the reread, and I'll re-rank them and see if they line up. But for right now, we're just going to rank the books from memory from 17 years ago, and all the thinking that you do in subsequent years. And you really, this is a series that you're gonna, just series in general, but books in general, you're gonna think about after you've read them, at least if it was a good book, probably, hopefully. Anyway, I'm probably making very little sense, and also I might ruffle some feathers with this ranking, because I feel like at least a couple of the books on this list are going to be ranked in strange places as far as what normal people, other people's rankings I've seen don't tend to line up with mine. So anyway, also keep in mind that I'm literally ranking books that are basically a stack of 9s and 10s. If I were to rank these, I would probably rank them, no less. Honestly, there might be some 8s in there, but I would still probably give it a 9 just because subjectively I enjoy them so much. So I'd say they're 9s and 10s. Objectively, there might be a couple 8s, but whatever. Probably my most controversial pick. Bottom of the barrel. Worst of the worst of the worst. Keep in mind, these are all amazing books. There isn't a bad book in this pile. But worst of the worst of the worst out of all Dark Tower books, bottom of the list, has been since day one. It always will be until I do the reread, and then we'll see how it stacks up then. But, worst Dark Tower book ever written. The Drawing of the Three. My least favorite. Always has been. It just blows my mind when everybody puts this number 1 on their list. I don't get it. I fell in love with everything that was the Gunslinger. It just introduced me to a world that was just so fascinating. It was the post-apocalypse of a post-apocalyptic world, and to me that was so utterly fascinating to enter this mid-world or whatever. You get introduced to it and you enter it, and I was fascinated and I was enthralled and I wanted to know more, and I get to book 2 and we go to New York City and we stay there. Different versions of it kind of changes as the book goes on, but we get New York, then we get New York, then we get New York, then we get, where is what I want to read? It's not in this book. I was so disappointed. I was so utterly disappointed. And other people are like, it's portal fiction, or it's this, or it's that. To me, it was just a letdown. Granted, it's still a really good book. But as far as what I wanted, that wasn't it. Now, this one. I kind of went round and round and round. I really kind of felt bad about putting this one in this position on the list. Because it's such a good book. I feel like it should be higher on the list. But unfortunately, everything has to land somewhere because, we're ranking books. But anyway, so this is second to last, but I feel kind of guilty about putting it this low on the list. And it is The Wind Through the Keyhole. I read this book as a complete 7-book series prior to this book being released. So I read it as like the 8th add-on, edition, addendum, whatever, when it came out. And I was just in love. This is maybe not the most Dark Tower-centric book. Like, it kind of feels like a side story instead of like a main core story. Like, you get like literally like 30 pages of actual plot progression in this book, and the rest is like a flashback within a flashback within a flashback, or a story within a story within a... It's kind of like a nesting doll story effect, which is brilliant, and the story itself is wonderful, and the fairy tale is phenomenal, and everything about it is so good. And I loved it so much, but I feel so bad about making this number 7. I really do. Like, it hurts me to put it there. Hurts me a lot more to put that at number 7 than it hurt me to put the Drawing of the Three at number 8. Let's be honest. Okay, moving on. Number 6. The next few, you'll see, like rapid fire, you'll be like, oh, okay. But the next few were kind of hard to put in order. Number 6 being The Wolves of the Kala. I was so excited to read this book because at the time, back in 2000 and whatever, these were relatively new, and this was hype. Like, people were talking about this one like it was just the greatest thing ever, at least in the circles that I ran in. And Wolves of the Kala was great. Oh my God, Wolves is so good. So I was really excited to read it, and I think it was a victim of its own hype, because when I read it, I was like, oh, well, that wasn't near as awesome as people hyped it up to. I mean, it was good. It was a Dark Tower book, and I mean, I'm obsessed with the Dark Tower, but I didn't understand the hype at all. I don't know why people made this one out to be so much better than the other ones that came out at this time. By that I mean 5, 6, and 7. Because 5, 6, and 7 were kind of dropped like, whoa, bam, 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 just kind of smacked everybody in the face with the last 3 books. And I think also those could have benefited from spreading them out a bit, spreading the love of those last 3 books instead of just dropping them back to back to back like he did, but, whatever. Anyway, number 6. Number 5. The fact that this is even not last on the list is probably going to upset some people, but I don't care. Song of Susannah, and I thought about putting this higher because I remember really actually enjoying this book. Now, also, this one is the exact opposite of the last one. The last one was a victim of its hype. This one benefited from its hate. At the same time that everybody was praising Wolves of the Kala, everybody was bashing Song of Susannah for being just utter crap. And I disagreed. I thought this was better than that. I enjoyed this one more than that one. At the time, maybe, like I said, maybe it'll be different now this year when I reread it. But at the time, I actually liked Song of Susannah better than I liked Wolves of the Kala. And I think it boils down to forward momentum. I really felt like this one didn't have the forward momentum that this one had. It felt like we were rolling and we were really in a series that you're this invested in, or at least as invested as I was. We're going somewhere, I guess, is what it felt like in this book. We're really moving towards our end goal. That end goal being Book number 4 on the list of best Dark Tower books ever written. See how I did that here? There's the back to back to back. These. Anyway, but those 3 kind of just slammed together, literally and rankingly. Anyway, but like literally, they just kind of like, bam, bam, bam. They just smashed together. Narratively, they smashed together. Chronologically, considering they came out within like a month of each other. And rankingly, they smashed together because they're kind of hard to separate. Kind of, a bit. Anyway, I feel like this was my favorite. Now, I would not have ranked this one this high as soon as I finished it. This book and this series is something that causes you to think. It almost demands that you think about it. And reflection, which is one of the best things about books in general, is because some of them really, really make you think. Some of them break apart, having dissected them mentally for a long time. This one didn't. This one, the more I thought about it, the better this book got for me. The ending. Boy, I want to talk about the end of this so bad. But we'll wait. But the end of this series had the strongest ending of any series I have ever read. Period. And you could take the first ending, and I would say it still would have had easily one of the best endings ever. Or you could take the second ending, which is easily the best ending ever. And I'll fight you about it. Some other people who argue that this ending was somehow not good. That just blows my mind. Now, there's also things in this book that people hate. Are a couple of deaths, I guess you could say, or the way that we resolve certain major conflicts. And there are a couple of those that people trash. And I was a trasher of them as well. And there's one. This is where I was talking about the thinking about it actually helps. There's one that I think is still kind of a major letdown. And there's another one that I think is just actually this book, one of the deaths in this, I feel like I will explain later in a different, better video, but I feel like this book is an example, at least one of the main conclusions that people really trashed this book for. Oh, it was garbage. I think that's an example of King being a better author than we are readers. He's better at looking at his characters and knowing what is appropriate than we are, because we only know what we want, and when we don't get what we want, we pitch a fit. And King, instead of giving us what we wanted, gave us what should have happened narratively, even if that's not what we wanted. I'll explain in another video. Anyway, top 3. The Wastelands. This book's amazing. At this point, we're in the top 3. They're the best of the best of the best. And this one is just good. This was so refreshing after the letdown that was the drawing of the 3 to go back to the Wastelands. And this is where I read the drawing of the 3 and I thought, oh God, this isn't going to be good, is it? Like, I was so excited by the Gunslinger, so let down by the drawing of the 3. I'm like, well, let's just keep right on going. I mean, what do we got to lose? Nothing, because you get the Wastelands and it picks you right back up. I mean, wow, does it pick you right back up? And it's so good. So good. So good. I think some people put this right up on top. And I had the benefit of reading these as the whole series came out. Or was out. It was out when I started reading it. It was technically complete. So I didn't have the problem of, that cliffhanger that fucked some people up. I didn't have that. I just got to pick them up book to book to book to book to book and love them. I didn't have to deal with the end of this book like some people did. All right. Now, if we've been keeping track, everybody knows what the last two are. This wasn't even hard. Let's be honest. This wasn't even hard to put these in order for me. And these, from the second I read them, like from the second I closed them, were the top two for me. They never have faltered in any way, shape, or form. And they are The Wizard and Glass and the other one. But this one is in second. Now this one, I've heard a lot of hate for this one as well. Oh God, I love this book so much. They tease this book in the other books, at least in the versions that I read, which I think are the versions that King prefers at this point in his life, because I read all of, you see them, but I read the revised editions when I read them. So this book is teased a lot before you get to it. And a lot of people's complaints are, I didn't need a 500-page flashback where the story doesn't progress. But to me, this was the flashback I wanted. This was all the taunting and the teasing and the little, Court's an asshole, and the little blips and tidbits that you get about Roland and his life as a child or as a gunslinger or Gilead or, Cuthbert or whatever. You got all those one little couple pages here, couple pages there. So when I got to this book and I got a 500-page flashback to Roland as a child, holy shit, I ate it up, every page of it. I wanted it so bad. When I got it, I was so satisfied and I was so fulfilled, and it's so dark and it's so tragic and it's just so good. The book was good. Everything about it was good, and I love it. Second best, easy for me. Easy. And then, of course, the best of the best of the best of the best, The Gunslinger. And I know people put this on the bottom, and I know that people claim that, it's like a glorified prologue to the rest of the books. I disagree. I feel like it is a book in and of itself. I feel like it is the best book of the series by far. It is so good. It is so atmospheric. It introduces you to the character that is just so compelling. I know that people thought he was dark and gritty and nasty, and he was a bad man, which he is. But I argue that makes him just the best character. But because he's the worst, it makes him the best. Good people, wholesome people, awesome people aren't fun to read. They're not compelling. They don't make good characters. I mean, sure, if that's what you want to read, then read that. But I think deeply dark and damaged and fucked up people are more fun to read, because you know what? People are damaged. People are dark and people are messed up. People don't do good things. I feel like people are inherently good, but don't do inherently good things. They end up doing and saying horrible things that they'll end up regretting. Moral of the story is, I just don't feel like this book gets enough love. This set the tone for the universe, and this set a tone that the universe struggled to maintain the excellence that was this book. And this is an excellent series of books, but I still feel like the tone that was set in this book was just unparalleled. The story, the glory that was this book is unparalleled in any of the others. It's the best. It's the best of the best, and I'll fight you about it. Come at me, bro. Anyway, I would love it if you would give me your rankings down in the comments. That would be fantastic. Also, one book a month for the next 8 months. Come back. Hopefully last-ish week of the month, I will be posting a review and or deep dive and or spoiler talk or something on the book of the month. January is the Gunslinger. Please, if you want to, I don't know, we'll talk about it in a few weeks. Otherwise, you know, if you want to read it with me, you know, all 5 of you that actually watch these, you know, there you go. And it shouldn't be too hard to catch up either if you come in late. So anyway, thank you all. See you next time.